everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Courtney, and today I'm bringing you guys a video all about appetizers. It is that time of year, everybody is having parties and get-togethers for the holiday, and there is really nothing like a good spread of appetizers. So I have picked 4 simple and delicious recipes that you're going to love for your next get-together. So to start it off, I'm going to do these spicy oyster crackers. These are so delicious. So you take half a cup of vegetable oil. You could switch out another oil if you want to. Vegetable oil is just pretty universal, so that's what I'm using. Add to it 1 packet of ranch dressing mix and 1 packet of Italian dressing mix. And if you want to zest it up a little bit, go ahead and throw in some red pepper flakes too. I skipped that step just because I didn't know if my kids would even try them if it was too spicy. But they were delicious just the way they were. So you're going to go ahead and dump 9 ounces of oyster crackers in that dressing that we just made. Toss them around really well. Make sure everybody is coated in that sauce and then let it set for about 10 minutes, stirring occasionally just so that they can soak up all that yummy deliciousness. Then we're going to dump these guys out on a lined baking sheet and pop them in a 250-degree oven for about 10 to 15 minutes until they get, just ever so slightly golden. These are so delicious. Oh my gosh, I cannot recommend this recipe enough. It takes no time at all, no effort, super easy, super cheap, but so good. Okay, so this next recipe is something that I will definitely be making again. This is the first time I ever made it, but oh my gosh, it was a hit in my household, you guys. Now, we are big fans of armadillo eggs, or jalapeno poppers, as some people call them. Down here in Texas, we usually just call them armadillo eggs. So I wanted to do something similar, but totally different. And I saw somebody make some little stuffed cups. They put something totally different in it, but I thought that is the perfect thing to hold an armadillo egg filling. So we're going to start off by browning some sausage, just some regular like Jimmy Dean breakfast sausage. I'm using a different brand I'd never tried before. I picked it up because it was on sale. And I'm doing a whole pound, but you only need about half a pound. I'm just going to reserve the rest, and I actually used it to make breakfast the next morning, so this was perfect. If you are not making breakfast the next morning, pop it in a zip top bag, throw it in your freezer, or just make a double batch of these. This only made a dozen, but it was just, myself, my husband, and our 3 kids, so we didn't need too many. So once the sausage is done cooking, you want to go ahead and dice up a few strips of bacon. I started with 3 strips of bacon and decided, that's not quite enough. So I did about 3.5 to 4 strips. And I'm just chopping it into little bite-sized pieces. It's fresh bacon I cooked this morning. But if you guys just want to use those real bacon pieces, that's totally fine too. Not a big deal. I think those would taste fantastic as well. I just happen to have this, so this is what I was using. Anyway, we're going to chop it up and just throw it in there with the sausage. And then we're going to toss in some cream cheese. Now, I'm only using about 2 ounces. I didn't want it to be super cream cheesy. If you feel like you want more, that's fine. Go ahead and add more. But this was enough to coat this half pound of sausage in the bacon perfectly. It was the right amount. I do have my burner turned back on a very low setting just to kind of help melt that cream cheese into everything else. And then to this, we're going to add some green chilies. I have this 505 green chili. It's kind of like a salsa, but just a regular can of green chilies would be fine as well. And I didn't add anything else. If you wanted to, you could throw in some garlic powder, onion powder or something, but I didn't feel the need for it. And this was so flavorful, I think it would be fine without it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and make sure everything's incorporated. All of the cream cheese is nice and melty, and then I popped that in the fridge to cool while I worked on the next steps. So I pulled out my muffin pan and I sprayed it, and then I've got these biscuits. It's really important you get the flaky layer biscuits. This won't work if you don't have flaky layer biscuits. So once I opened the can and pulled out the biscuits, you want to basically separate each biscuit into 3 different layers. That way you have a nice little bread bowl that we're making in these muffin cups, but it's not too thick. I only used about half this container of biscuits. I put the rest back in the fridge and I cooked them for breakfast the next morning. So that worked out really well for me. I used that sausage and I made some egg cups, and then we had biscuits on the side. But if you Want it to, you could go ahead and make a bigger batch of these and that'd be fine too. Anyway, as you can see, I just separated each biscuit into 3 different layers, and then I'm pushing them down in the muffin tins just to form little mini cups. They're not going all the way up the sides. I'm not having to reshape these or roll them out. I'm just basically putting them in there and letting them just kind of set within the cups. And that's really all you need to do. Once you bake these, they puff up a whole lot more and provide a really substantial bowl for the filling that we're going to be putting in there. But you're just going to bake these according to the package directions. And as soon as they come out, we're going to fill them with our sausage, cream cheese, green chili bacon filling and pop them back in for about 8 minutes just so it kind of gets bubbly and molds together really well. And then we'll pull them out and let them cool, and they are ready to be eaten. So delicious. And there is the finished product. These were amazing. My husband and my oldest son, Xander, devoured these. They were so full of flavor. You guys have got to try these. Okay, on to what I think was my favorite appetizer of the day. We're going to make a smoked salmon dip. So I'm kind of just mashing together a number of different smoked trout dip recipes that I found online and then swapping the trout out for salmon. The Cork and Pig restaurant, I don't know if you guys have those all over or what. I've only been eating there for a couple of years, but oh, they have a smoked trout dip that is to die for. And I always want to recreate it at home. So I have been trying a few different things, and this was as close as I think I'm going to get. If you guys have a Cork and Pig, I cannot recommend it enough. Go get the dip. Don't worry about anything else on the menu. Just get the smoked trout dip. It's so, so good. So I started with half a cup of cream cheese, half a cup of mayonnaise, and half a cup of sour cream. And I am just trying to blend those together. My cream cheese was really softened. It was definitely room temperature, but you know, it's still hard to get it to incorporate really well into everything. I did go ahead and put the juice of half a lemon in there, but this was a big lemon, you guys. This was probably close to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So definitely a big, big lemon. Anyway, I used that to kind of help me whip everything together a little bit more. Then some of the recipes I found online called for prepared horseradish. Not all of them, but some of them. And I thought, okay, I didn't have any prepared horseradish, but I did have this horseradish spread that we use for sandwiches and burgers and stuff. So I went ahead and added in about a tablespoon of that because I love, love, love horseradish. Then I'm going to toss in about a teaspoon of smoked paprika, about a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic, and a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. I did not put any salt in here, and I feel like this was definitely salty enough. I also didn't add pepper, but I did add dill. You guys know how I feel about dill. I love dill. I whipped all of my seasonings in there together really well, and then I put in about a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. I would definitely say maybe kick that up to a teaspoon and a half, maybe even a tablespoon. It needed just a little extra kick, I think. So I would definitely add just a little bit more. And then I took a package of this smoked salmon. I think some places call it lox. My local HEB just calls it smoked salmon. And they had like 3 different kinds to choose from. I just chose what I thought was the most basic kind. And it's just a small package. This is only 4 ounces. And I'm just going to take each of the slices and just thinly chop them up. I'm not doing like a fine mince or anything. I like a chunky dip. I really, really do. If you like a smoother dip, you might want to just really mince this really fine. I don't. Anyway, I threw in the salmon and I mixed this really well. Now, some of the recipes I found online called for capers. Some people in my house don't care for capers, so I did not put them in. However, I did top the pieces the bit that I ate with capers. And I think it is an amazing addition. That zing and zip of the vinegary caper really helps kind of cut through the richness of the dip and the salmon and everything. These were so good. Oh man, I love that dip. Okay, and on to the last appetizer of the day. If you've ever gone to a Chinese restaurant, you know they have that crab rangoon, the fried wontons with the sweet cream cheese and crab on the inside. So this is kind of a take on that. I make those sometimes at home. Usually I don't make them with the crab. I'll just put some cream cheese in there and sweeten it up a little bit. Today I'm using some imitation crab, but I started off with half a block of cream cheese, and then I am adding in some habanero pepper jelly. You could use any kind of pepper jelly you want. I happen to have this open in my fridge, so I wanted to go ahead and use some of it up. And pairing the habanero jelly with cream cheese is a magical experience. It is sweet and there's a lot of heat to it, and it's rich and it's creamy. This was awesome. But again, any kind of pepper jelly would work just fine. If you don't like heat, then I would say pick some kind of mild jelly. Maybe even a peach jelly would be really good. And then I just took some of this imitation crab and I just kind of tore it up into tiny pieces and mixed it in. But again, you don't have to add the crab in there. You can keep it totally meat-free with just the cream cheese and the pepper jelly, and that would be really good. But anyway, I chose to add this in. You can also toss in a little bit of garlic powder if you want to. I did not. I felt like between the pepper jelly and the crab meat, there was a lot of flavor going on, and I just didn't feel like I wanted a hint of garlic in this. But if you do, that is perfectly fine. So I went ahead and mixed all of this together, and I went a little heavy with the imitation crab. If you're going to put it in, I would suggest not going quite as heavy as I did, but this was so good. So I took this filling and then I just placed it inside of some wontons. Now, I did not get the best wontons. I got the only wontons I could find. Usually I can get square wontons that shape really well, you know, when you fold them and stuff. These are rectangular and, you know, the corners don't line up as well and things like that. So I ended up just kind of folding these up like a little, you know, mint, you know, the little starlight mints. I kind of made them look similar to a starlight mint, which was fine. They fried up great. They were really tasty. I mean, everything was fine with it. It's just not as pretty as it could have been. You know, when I do them normally, I can get the square wonton wrappers and I match up all the corners and make the pretty little package. Today was not that day. These did not fold that way. I actually tried it with one and the corners just don't line up well at all. So I ended up going with this, and that was fine too. They tasted fantastic. Everybody ate them. They're gone. There's none left. So I'm not going to complain. And they look like little starlight mints, which are kind of holiday themed, I guess. Anyway, so simple to make. Just make sure that you don't overfill your wonton wrappers. I put, because these are fairly large wrappers, I did put close to a tablespoon of filling in each one. And then make sure you do put some water around the edges so that they seal really well. You don't want them bursting open during the frying process because that just makes like a big greasy mess. But I just have my little brush right there and I dip it in some water and run it around the edges. You don't need an egg wash or anything like that. Water works perfectly well with wonton wrappers. And then just make sure you pinch the edges really well so that there is a good seal on them. And that's really all there is to it. These are so simple to make. And I mean, you could fill them with a million different things, really. It doesn't even have to be a cream cheese based mixture. This is just something that I thought we would enjoy, and we did. We really like the sweet cream cheese just by itself, so I figured this would be good, and it was. Anyway, once you have sealed these little guys up, you're just going to toss them in some oil and you're going to fry them. It is a very quick process. Wonton wrappers fry super quick. I mean, I think it took maybe a minute and a half to fry up that whole batch right there. It's very fast. You just want to get a little golden color on them and you're done. So again, really easy to make and super simple. there is the final product. These are so delicious. They're crispy and sweet and tasty. A little bit of heat from the pepper jelly. They were perfect. Here's a little overview of all the treats that I made for the day. And there's a little plate I made for my husband. So delicious. Everything on here was definitely a winner. We all enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this too. I hope you'll give some of these recipes a try. They really were quick and simple and really affordable, especially considering I only used imitation crab. That little pack was only $1, so really affordable. Anyway, if you guys like this content, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys so very much. I hope you're having an awesome holiday season, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye.